So you can pretty obviously see why I haven't been around. Um, I had some surgery last week, right here up to almost my eyeball. Mohs surgery, I guess it's very common. I think it's MOHS, skin cancer, basically. Should be fine, 99% chance I'll be fine. But it's given me what is going to be a pretty gnarly scar. This is a cut from like here, almost right up here. But not a big deal for me. I don't say that like I'm tough or anything. It's just I'm on day 8 now, and it's been mostly pain free. The shots that went into the here before they started the actual surgery, those were not pleasant. But so that's why, as I've noted, I'm going to be doing more videos, but the timing just wasn't good last week, given that I've been sort of laid up a little bit with this. But tomorrow, Bruce Springsteen Tracks 2 is released. And I will say that I was initially, for reasons I don't know, not all that excited for it, which is wild because there's either 7 or 8 full albums. I think the tracks that they've released digitally didn't get me super excited. That said, last night I started reading some reviews. I read my buddy Jeff Vrabel, who, not the football coach. Is there not a football coach named Jeff Vrabel? My good buddy Jeff Vrabel, I'm going to have on this channel next week, where we are going to talk about Tracks 2. Jeff is a former colleague of mine. He's become one of my closest friends in the area. He's a great writer. He actually reviewed Tracks 2 for Spin magazine. I'll put that here. But he's written about ton about Springsteen, Jimmy Buffett. He and I worked on a project together when we worked together where we got to interview Neil Young. So that was pretty cool. Jeff's just a salt of the earth, wonderful guy who has a lot of thoughts about Tracks 2. So I'm going to try to do guests more often, and he will be a guest next week. But first I want to talk about Tracks 1. Came out in 1998, and I remember this was a huge deal. So this is my second copy. I recently got a copy at Streetlight Records in San Jose because my original was falling apart. I used to listen to it that much. And I remember it was these little jackets. They're sort of glued to the back of this cardboard, and they had been falling out. So I got a new copy, and I just opened it for this video. Paid $20 for it. So this came out in one of Bruce's sort of quieter periods. Post Ghost of Tom Joad, which is 1995, and pre would his next proper record be The Rising, which was 2002. I remember when this came out, what a massive deal it was for Springsteen fans. There were songs on here that we had been waiting to hear forever. Songs like Thundercrack. I mean, I remember being in high school, and Lane and I would talk about Thundercrack. We were always trying to find bootlegs. I have a bunch, but I found this one. Bruce Springsteen's solo acoustic. I think this is called, it was known as the Christic Show, I think. This is March 23rd, 1993 at the Count Basie Theater. A little blurry. Lan and I used to go into the Village in New York City, and we would buy live Bruce shows on CD. We did it a ton. As I said, there's another one. I think it was one of the Passaic shows. I have a double disc. None of them are very good quality, but at the time, you know, this stuff wasn't on the internet, and there was no nugs.net, or we would go to record stores and sort of sift through our favorite artists to see if we could find live shows, and they would be way over, like 30 or 40 bucks. I probably paid 30 bucks or something for this. And just the 90s, you know, it was a quieter period for Bruce, but not for me as it relates to Bruce. You know, I probably saw him 25 times in the 90s, 20 or 25 times. And I just remember tracks being such a huge deal. The opener of Mary Queen of Arkansas with, is it John Hammond, who was responsible for signing Springsteen to Columbia, opens it up. Bruce Springsteen, what does it say? First take, Mary Queen of Arkansas. That was the worst impression ever done by anyone. But if you look at, so I mentioned Thundercrack, Rendezvous, that was a huge deal. Those are back-to-back on disc 1. But if you look at disc 2, if he released almost all of disc 2 as a regular release, it would be one of his best records. I listened today to A Good Man Is Hard to Find. Of course, I was thinking Flannery O'Connor there. I don't know if that's written because of Flannery. Restless Nights, Roulette, Where the Bands Are, Loose Ends, which is one of my favorite Springsteen songs. Another version of Be True, I Want to Be With You, Shut Out the Light, that is such a great song. The stripped down version of Born in the USA, Stolen Car. And then when you get into disc 3, there's a ton there as well. My Love Will Not Let You Down, which he opened a lot of his, in the last 10 years, a lot of his shows he opened with that track. Cynthia, Frankie, This Hard Land, one of, I would put it in Bruce's top 10 songs, without question. What else? Man at the Top is great. Janie, Don't You Lose Heart. How is that? How did that not make a proper Springsteen record? So it's just The Wish, which I know is about his mother, and I used to send to my mother on Mother's Day. This is just an incredible, an incredible collection. I loved this. I think that is Bruce, if I remember correctly, at Columbia. What was it, in 72 or 73 when he went, apparently just like showed up with his guitar and dressed like that, and then he got signed. Let's see the booklet. Pretty standard booklet, lyrics. Little note from Bruce in September of 98. So tracks 1, it's rarely, well, it's just called tracks, but it's rarely, it seems like it's rarely talked about, and it should be talked about a lot more. Because unlike, say, Neil Young, who else? Just people, just top tier sort of artists who release a lot of unreleased or B-sides and different versions. Bruce wasn't doing that at the time until this came out. He did have live 75 to 85, but tracks it was like, we couldn't believe we got all this material. I mean, I'm looking 17, 34, 44, 52, 66 songs, if I added that up right. I just out of nowhere. So huge moment. And where I started was tracks 2, which will be available at 9 p.m. here in the Pacific time zone tonight. There was some reason I just wasn't that excited about it. And then I've started reading reviews. Pitchfork gave it an 8.5. I looked on Metacritic last night and it was at a 97. So that's like near perfect. I think Pitchfork is the only one that dragged it down from being 100. And the reviews are just tremendous. So I bought it. As I've shared on this channel, what has it been? Almost a month. A month ago that I left my job. Still getting used to life, not with a 9 to 5. Gonna start some consulting soon, which will get me hopefully into a better rhythm. But I haven't been purchasing as many records as I used to. So I even held out on the Springsteen. And then today, I know I'm gonna get it, right? Even if the reviews are that good, there's a few that, as long as I have a little bit of money, Springsteen, Wilco, most Neil Young stuff. I have 7 million Neil Young records. But that's it. I just wanted to pay a little tribute to Tracks 1. God, imagine if he made this like a double album, and it came out 3 years after Lucky Town and Human Touch, which I will always say Lucky Town I think is a very good record. Pitchfork rating, I'd give it an 8.5. Same as they gave Tracks 2. Human Touch, not so much. The song Human Touch is great, but there are some bad 57 Channels, which was like a hit, I think. That's just not a good song. I'd say Human Touch, no. Human Touch are working on a Dream, or the lowest end of the Bruce discography. Human Touch is probably like a 6.0 or something. But in 98, he put out this incredible box set, which I listened to all the time, which is why it was falling apart. I remember the time I had an Acura Integra, had a 6-disc CD changer in the back, and this was in there all the time. So I will say today, I had to go to a doctor's appointment, and I was on the road for a good 2 hours today. And when I got to disc 4, it starts to slide a little bit. I'm not even gonna name the songs, but if you know the box, you know what I'm talking about. So it could have probably been just 3 discs and been strong. And of course, disc 1, which I only mentioned with respect to Mary Queen of Arkansas, but also It's Hard to Be a Saint in the City. There's a demo of that. Growing Up is tremendous. I think all 3 of those are, I think, Bruce's first visit to Columbia Records right prior to being signed. Linda Let Me Be the One is great. Zero and Blind Terry, Seaside Bar Song, Santa Ana. This is an incredible collection. If there are any defects, there's a phone number you can call at Columbia. I wonder if that's still active. Maybe I'll give them a ring and just say, hey, I bought my second one, but the first one, the sleeves are falling off. What am I talking about? So the plan right now for Tracks 2, I believe Jeff and I are going to meet Tuesday evening, so it'll probably be published on Wednesday. Probably just going to have an open conversation in my living room. So looking forward to that. And I will be listening to, I think mine arrives on Saturday. I'll be listening to it all weekend as I prep for Jeff and I to have a chat about this. So go back and listen, especially to start on Restless Nights, disc 2 of Tracks. And we are looking at a little over 4 hours. Tracks 2 will be out, assuming it comes out at 9 p.m. I think Friday releases come out at 9 p.m. Pacific time. And if this were 1998, man, it would have been an event. And I miss those events. I've been thinking about that a lot lately. Like thinking of Tracks 2, obviously thinking a lot about my brother Lane and how opinionated he would be about this box. And in the 90s, he and I saw Bruce so many times. So listening to Tracks today definitely brought me back. He loved this. He loved Be True. Stolen Car. I mean, that's on the river, but he loved that song as well. So we will be back. I'm gonna probably do a video over the weekend prior. This is gonna be in until next Wednesday, and then we'll see what the scar looks like. But I'm gonna try and do a separate video this weekend, and then I will be back with my friend Jeff next Tuesday. Look forward to talking about tracks 2. Hope you all have a good weekend, and I will talk to you soon.